So what I'm seeing, what is being acceptable in the society right now is that, like I said, I am a man, and sometimes a man is being perceived as someone more strong-willed, courageous, typically in the way that we quote unquote say the man of the house. But in all reality, like I have never seen that. I didn't have like a huge, big father figure in my family, so a lot of it was raised by my mom. But nonetheless, I have grown with ways of connecting with others and different types of males in my life that I appreciate, and every single one of them has impacted me in many ways. And right now, I look at myself as, where do I place myself in this world? As I'm 35 years old, I'm still single, I'm not married, but my parents still want me to be married already, and yet I'm still looking for the one, and I'm struggling, but at the same time, like, I'm not trying to push it either, as the norm is to be ready to go, get married, get your kids on, blah, 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 and this and that. And I'm like, no, I don't. As much as I want to have a child and be married and everything, I still haven't found a way to understand, like, is it the right time? And I've learned not to push time, because a lot of the time in my life, it's been pushed and forced and this and that, and I don't like that. And so, trying to be the male figure in my life, like, what does that mean? And just trying to understand, like, am I accepted within my family, within the society itself, and understanding that I'm learning that it's okay too, but yet still hearing the back of my mind, hey, Sean, like, what's going on? Why are you not this? And so this timeline I keep on seeing, even though I know what I need for myself, but am I jeopardizing a lot for my family or for my means of the society, whatever that may mean?
I haven't noticed it a ton come up. I have thought about it more since even hearing the idea of the show, but really, I definitely see the example of not being able to be barefoot. I see that a lot. You brought that up one time, and at a summer camp, my friend kept getting in trouble because he wanted to run around barefoot, and he wasn't allowed to. And I did think that was interesting, and I didn't like that. He's a little kid, and so I was like, I want him to run barefoot. And I'm reminded of that when I think of this because of your example with your daughter not being able to run barefoot. And so that is the biggest thing. It is small things like that. But I can't really think of something crazy because I am used to living with social norms. So, yeah.
That's very true.
So like I said before, I'm a person, obviously I'm a person of color and a woman, so social norms permeate throughout my whole life. I have to consider how I fit within like a white patriarchal construct. And so that takes up a lot of time. Most people of color, I think, can empathize with like code switching and stuff like that. And I think that one thing that I wish wasn't so much of a thing is the idea of the American dream in a very strict pathway that we have to adhere to be considered successful or happy. I think that there's so many pathways to success. I think that there's so much that goes into a full life. Like for me, I feel like the way that we act like when we're an adult that there's no time for family and friends. Like we say it's normal that we can't spend time with family and friends. I've chosen to prioritize spending time with friends and make it a large part of my life, and it's made it a lot more, beautiful. And I wish that we made like family and friends and these connections a more immediate part of our lives, because they don't have to be pushed to the back and waiting until the end of our lives to explore.
I would say I'm a bit of a perfectionist in real life and in dance. So I think that part of social norms is having to be perfect, having to be with the social norms, having to be constantly the best you that you can be, and having to fit in with what the idea of perfection is. And I wish that there was more room for mistakes in life, as well as some of the dance industry.
I think just like the way we interact with other people kind of in the day-to-day, like I notice a marked difference between, like, obviously I know people at rehearsal, but coming in and like spending a lot of time being like physically connected, emotionally connected, it is really starkly contrasted by just kind of moving around anywhere else in the world where you're so completely cut off from other people to the point where I think as adults, like, cultivating new relationships or friendships is like more difficult, and that's, I think, a thing that hasn't always been so hard to do. Like, I think I have to go out of my way to try and meet new people and like form new connections outside of my family or like a workplace environment, if that makes sense. And I think it's just kind of, we're expected to sort of like mind our business and like just move separately, independently through the world. And I think that there are a lot of issues and miscommunications that maybe would be maybe not solved, but like less dire if people were more willing to interact and connect and open up, if that makes sense.
I've always felt myself stepping outside of the social norms, especially as a kid. I've definitely noticed that a lot in my life. I wish that personality was more acceptable, that your innermost personality was more acceptable in society, that you didn't have to hide what your personality is to be conformed.
I feel like socially we're expected to be very maintained and inward with thoughts and feelings and emotions, and just to carry it and not share, where it bottles up and it could be very detrimental to ourselves sometimes, depending on those emotions, depending on those thoughts, depending on your concerns. And I wish society would allow us to express ourselves in a genuine and authentic way, so we don't feel like we have to bottle up things and keep excluded into ourselves, if that makes sense. Stop dimming our shines, I guess, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I think in rehearsal we like ask a lot of questions for ourselves and how, like, who we are, and it gets us to dig a little deeper on things maybe we think about often daily, or maybe things we don't think about at all. And so I'm curious in this process, like, what's going to come up on what feels authentic to me as a human in this world, what I feel is societal, and what I feel maybe are things that are within me that I don't present to the world daily.
What does being?
I think that a lot of people feel the need to put on masks, and I wish that more people felt like they could be themselves and be authentic and real. And then also in rehearsal, I think it's normal for us to make mistakes, and in society, I think it can be seen as shameful. And so I wish that in society it was more acceptable to feel free to make mistakes.
Something I've been thinking about is how I am a first-year performer with 2.4, and I didn't know all of the dancers super well coming into this season, but everybody is so open and willing to share very personal parts of themselves in conversation and in movement, and that's been really meaningful to me, because I think that more and more we are all stratified and further removed from one another, largely because of technology and late-stage capitalism, hyper-consumerism forcing us into our homes and forcing these social norms on us where we're not supposed to talk about certain things or like find community. And so finding community through 2.4 has been really important to me, because I get to connect with people, I get to touch people, and we really take care of one another. Obviously there are really important like physical boundaries and stuff that we all respect, but being able to break past the timidness of like touching one another is really powerful, and it makes me feel connected to them and with the world.
Well, honestly, I feel like social norms and all of that really applies to everyone and in anything. We are heavily influenced in so many aspects in our life that it's quite hard to not be affected by it, whether it's positive or negative. But I'm really interested to see on how we could apply that in artistic ways through dance.